yes, that's you, all the scuba divers and hopefully future scuba divers out there. My name is Jan, I'm a scuba instructor, and here on my channel give it a good thumbs up. So the dive site I'm going to show you guys today is called Castle Rock. Now Castle Rock is located in the northern parts of Komodo, and if you look on the dive map you can see the entire dive site is below the surface. Now on the very top it's got sort of two pinnacles, with the highest pinnacle, the top point, being about 5 meters below the surface depending on the tide of course, and just to the left of it there's another set of rocks that forms another sort of a pinnacle. Now again with Komodo here, you can expect quite some strong current, hopefully some strong current, and because that's when you're going to get the most chances of seeing quite a lot of sharks. Now for this one, with these two pinnacles on the top, the whole dive site has got a flat area, well sort of a flat area, and then it drops off with a gentle slope all the way around the pinnacles. Now over here, like I said, current, you want to jump in the current. So whether the current's coming from the left or the right, it doesn't really matter, because your dive will be very similar on either side. But say for instance it comes from the right hand side now, so you will go a little bit away from the pinnacle into the current, facing the current, and then do your entry there. Most likely also do a negative entry and then make your way down to the sloping part of the reef. Don't go too deep, don't go all the way to 30 meters, because your decompression time will be over quite quickly, and of course your air consumption will go down quite significantly if you stay there. So I would suggest maybe at around 20 meters. And if the current is quite strong, you're going to need to use a reef hook over here. But like I've said in many times of my previous videos, please, when you do use a reef hook, make absolutely sure you don't hook it on any coral. Just look for an exposed rock that can actually carry your weight in the current. So once you've hooked up there, by the time you're nice and steady, you'll probably have noticed that there's quite a lot of sharks over here. And this is why we go down there and hook up, because there's a lot of white tip reef sharks. A little bit further in the blue, you might see some gray reef sharks. And of course, with the sharks, there will be loads of other different species of fish. Quite often, we'll see also quite a few giant trevallies hunting, maybe some bluefin trevallies too. And if you're lucky, the Napoleon might also be there. Quite a few Napoleons actually. And of course, loads of other species of fish that I'm not even going to start to mention. It's just too many. So but once you've hooked up there, stay for a little bit until it's time to move on. Then you're going to hook up, unhook your reef hook, of course, and then drift to the opposite end of this dive site. Now, as you go, spend some time, see if you can find some macro life. But once you just pass the pinnacle, beware of your buoyancy over here, because you might find as the current approaches towards the pinnacle that it will split, of course, and then you might towards the back experience a little bit of a down current, but it won't be too strong. But at that point, just keep on drifting. Make sure you don't go, the current doesn't take you down. Stay nice and close to the reef, and then you can make your way slowly back to the back side of these pinnacles. Now, of course, along the way, you'll see loads of different species of fish, beautiful coral. Maybe you can find some time to look for a little macro life. There's even pygmy seahorses over here on this dive site. But as you then, of course, go to the back of these pinnacles, at the back, there won't be any current. So you can spend the last 15-20 minutes of your dive there nice and relaxed with no current that you have to fight. So spend some time there, look around, to see some flathead crocodile fish, moray eels, peacock mantis shrimps, and loads of colorful little fish all over the place. And when it's time to go and do your safety stop, of course, you need to go and go up to 5 meters. But yeah, it might be a little bit tricky to do that because of the top of that pinnacle only being at about 5 meters, depending on the tide. So what we sometimes do is go up right to the pinnacle. It might be relaxed there. If it's low tide, approaching to high tide, you might be able to do your safety stop safely behind the pinnacle without much effort. Or what I've seen people do also, because it's exposed rock, most of it, you might find a place to hook up with your reef hook and then go up to 5 meters about just above the pinnacle, and then keep floating in the current like that. Or alternatively, you can just drift with the current and then do your safety stop like that. But of course, this being quite a popular dive site, you need to use your SMB, because there might be quite a few dinghies around on the surface looking for their divers. That way, your dinghy driver will probably recognize your guide's SMB or yours, and more or less also after about an hour, and go and pick you up safely. And of course, avoid collisions with other dinghy drivers. So I think that's it, guys. So it's very easy dive site. You're going to go into the current, and it's just sort of a upside down cupcake shape, if you will. And then there's, like I say, the main attraction over here. It's lots of white-tip reef sharks. But then also, if you're lucky enough to dive here when there's no current, slack high or slack low tide, this is truly then an incredible dive site. Then, of course, you won't need a reef hook, you won't need to fight current, anything like that. You'll have lots of time to just explore the entire dive site. Then the sharks will be all over the place. There'll be huge Napoleons, giant trevallies, big schools of surgeon fish. You might see big schools of fusiliers. There's just fish all over this dive site. Truly incredible if you get it at slack high or slack low tide. But nonetheless, current, no current, incredible dive here at Castle Rock. So I think that's enough for me talking about the dive sites. Let's jump in and let me go show you what it looks like underwater. Welcome to my world. So that's was Castle Rock. I've showed you some footage of what it looks like with current and without current. As you can see, lots to see, lots of sharks, and they can actually come quite close to you if you stay nice and still in one place. And when there's no current, it's just fish everywhere. Really, really great dive site. So hopefully you guys enjoyed the video, and looking forward to, if you're planning your trip to Komodo, to go and dive at Castle Rock, because it's definitely, it's a great dive site to go and visit. So if you like the video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you want to. And don't forget to share it with your dive buddies. Until next time, take care.